I go. Mallory, Sarah. Okay, we got 47. We got about half of the people here. We're a little bit early. We'll wait a little bit more. By the way, I'm coming to you from a swing on my back porch, so be prepared for a little bit of this. Megan Jordan, Lee Turner, Angela Babino. Babino. You gotta do this when you say it. Babino. Katie Perez. Hola, ¿cómo estás? You speak Spanish? You speak Spanish or no? Yeah, okay, good. Keep up with your Spanish. You can outnumber us pretty. You're gonna have your population. Well, never mind. I'll stop now before I get myself in trouble. Babino. Who's with Babino there? Are you both in this class or you just want to watch? Okay. Luke salmon. I like salmon, especially grilled. Grilled salmon is good. I wouldn't grill you though, I promise. That's a promise I'm making.
Yeah. Salmon tempura is pretty good too.
What time is it? 6:01. How many people we got? 80 out of 100. That's not so bad. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I should have my syllabus open, as should you. My drive. Oh no, wait. Shoot. Okay, so let's start by looking at the syllabus. Come on, baby. Here it is. Come on. Not gonna happen. Okay. I can do it. Okay, so I don't know if any of you professors have told you this yet this semester, but this is the weirdest semester ever. I've never done this by Zoom before, and I'm not sure how to take roll. I hate to say that out loud because you may stop coming. I hope you don't stop coming. Stop coming. But you know, usually half the class is attendance, just showing up. But I'm not sure how to take roll this year, so let's go down real quick. What did I put? Grading. I didn't say anything about how it's graded. Nice syllabus, Dr. Slish. I say nothing about how it's graded. I just say you will be graded. Okay, our lectures will be on Zoom and you're expected to be there and watch. You're expected to be there and watching them. Okay. So basically this class, typically what I do is I give half your class grade is just showing up. So everybody does well on that, they just show up. The other half is this paper you write at the end. Well, I'm gonna have to blow off the first half. So none of you are gonna pass. You're only gonna get 50% in this class. Just kidding. Your whole grade will be based on that paper at the end. And I'll talk about that in a second. So if you look at the syllabus, we can see how many presenters are scheduled at this time. We're going to be meeting every Thursday from 6 to 6:50. And the Zoom link is up there. It'd be the same link every week. So I changed that. Let's say Zoom link. Has been posted in the Moodle page. Okay, so try and get here 5 minutes early. What? 5 minutes early to log in. Okay, so make sure you're here a little bit early. So here are the presentations. Today's the 27th. I'll be telling you about all the pre-health programs we have here at Plattsburgh State. Next week, a former student, an alumnus, Brooke Maggie, will come. She'll talk about being a physician's assistant. She works over at CVPH next door. September 10th, 2 weeks from now, we're going to have David Oriza talk on Zoom about being a doctor of osteopathy. That's DO. Pretty much the same as MD, a little bit different, a lot easier to get into those schools. So he is an admissions advisor at the New York Technical College of Osteopathic Medicine or something. So that is David Ortiz. The next week, Sarah Baskind. She's a nurse practitioner, which is kind of similar to physician assistant, a little different. She also works at CVPH, so she'll be talking on September 17th. Now, September 24th is a special week. This week, Todd Mania is coming. He teaches a class here too. I think it's 1 credit. It's like an hour a week. It's an hour a week class. And when he gives us a talk on September 24th, he wants an audience. He likes to have an audience. So I'm going to invite you all to come to Yoakum 200 that day. If you don't feel comfortable coming, don't come. But I'd like to get a number of people there, just so he's very outgoing. He's got a lot of hand gestures. He's an exciting speaker, so it'd be really good for you to be there. Okay, I'm looking at the chat now. Is it required to have the video audio for the meeting? No, you have to have the audio. Well, no, I don't have to hear you. You should have your audio muted. The video, I don't need you to see. I can't see your face anyway, because when I share screen, I only see 3 people. So your video can be off. Your audio should be off. Okay. Hi, Donald. Having difficulty trying to log on to Plattsburgh Gmail. Could you give me personal account? Keeps giving me either my personal account or someone else's account. All right, so Leslie Cumberbatch, we'll have to deal with this after class. Send me an email about this and I'll talk to you about it tomorrow. I'm not really sure how to do that. Oh, that was a private email, sorry. Yeah, Leslie, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Okay, all right, so where was I? Todd Mania. Okay, so I'd like to have at least half of you, as many as possible, coming on the 24th, so he's got an audience. Sarah Robinson then will be Zooming in on October 1st. She is from SUNY Buffalo in the pharmacy school of pharmacy. We've got a program with them. So it's a 3+4 program. I'll be talking about that shortly. So it'd be good to see her if you have any interest in pharmacy. Local dentist Athena Graves will be coming on October 8th. Her son is a student at Plattsburgh. She's a local dentist and she'll be talking about dentistry. October 15th, if you're worried about paying for for medical school, you should come October 15th because Sergeant Johnson is going to talk about the Army Health Professions something scholarship program. So basically, is not just med school, but a bunch of other schools. If you go, they pay for everything. They pay for they give you living money, like $2,500 a month to live on the whole time you go through college, and then you pay them back with years afterwards. So 4 years in medical school, 4 years in the Army, you're done. No medical bills. Okay. And then October 22nd is Wendy Myers. So she'll be talking about allied health. And by that, I mean like all the things in the hospital besides doctor and nurse. Okay. So you've got respiratory therapy, you've got radiology in terms of imaging, you've got sonic imaging or whatever that is, I forget. What else? Medical technology, just all these other things in the hospital other than being a doctor or nurse. So if you don't know what you want to do, that's an excellent one to come to. Then everything else is TBA. I don't have anyone lined up. So if there's a profession you want to see, let me know and I'll get someone in there. I'm planning to get a physical therapist, occupational therapist in there as well. I also have a clinical social worker, which is something you probably don't know about. I just learned about the position recently. So I'll have her come and talk about what she does too. She's a very important part of the hospital as well. OBGYN. I will work on an OBGYN. We'll get you one of those. Hopefully you don't need it in an emergency. Surgeons, I can find a surgeon. I'll find a surgeon. I can do that. Okay. Pedestrian. Pedestrian. What do you mean? Pediatrician, you mean? Okay, it's probably whoever said pedestrian is probably an autocorrect. Pediatrician. Yeah, I'll work on that. Anesthesiologist. We used to have one. Okay, so these are all MD people in different specialties. So I'll get some more MD specialties into you. Genetic counselor. That's an interesting one. All right, let me move on because I need to get through this syllabus, and then I've got a whole PowerPoint presentation I want to do, and then we can talk about. You send me emails on all these things and what you want, and then I'll put them on a list and I'll see what I can do about that. Okay, so your report. At the end of the semester, the last day of class, December 3rd, you're going to send me your report. You email it to me. That's the best way to get it to me. And your report is basically, you've seen all these talks about these different professions. What profession do you want to be? And how are you going to get there? So one aspect of all these talks is what these professionals do in their daily life. The other side is, how did you get there? What did you have to do to get into your school? What is the process of becoming that thing? So I've laid out here in this syllabus very specific example here of how you would get to become a vet. Use it as your model. Find your own specialty and tailor your paper on that. Your paper should be like 1.5 pages, double spaced. So it's not life and death. Physical therapists are GRE. OBGYN, a lot of people are calling for that. Okay, I'll save this chat and I'll look through that later. Okay, so that's your final paper. And that's, I guess, all I have in this syllabus. So I'm watching the chat here. Any questions about the syllabus and the grading of the class? Anybody?
So we're only going to have one assignment for the whole semester?
Oh, hang on a second. My volume was down. Could you say that again, please?
We're only going to have one assignment for the semester?
One assignment? Yeah, that's it. It's a pretty easy class, really. So it's not very stressful.
So how does the homework work? Like there is no homework?
There is no homework. Am I your favorite professor now?
Right now, yes.
Yeah, the whole semester is just watching these talks once a week and then writing your paper at the end. So that's why I really want you to come to all the talks because, I mean, I'm not asking you for much. That's all I'm asking you for. So show up every Friday. Or, I'm sorry, Thursday. Okay, any other questions? Class-related class stuff?
I have a question. Are you gonna resend an email about meeting in Yoakum around the time that it's going to happen?
Yeah, I'll remind you that week. I'll remind you that week when you come in. And report, no more than that. Well, it could, people go through. Some people do one page, but a page and a half is what you should be shooting for. Submit the report. Yeah, I guess you can. Just don't do it this week. You gotta see the talks first, I hope. Okay, can I move on now? I don't have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of time, so I want to bring up my PowerPoint so we can talk about pre-health programs at SUNY Plattsburgh. Okay, pre-health programs at SUNY Plattsburgh. Okay, oh, I should have changed this. So the pre-health committee, I do like 99% of it. So if you have questions, come to me. But Cecilia Gregoire is in the Department of Nutrition. You can also go talk to her. This guy is a doctor. I'll talk about him a little bit later, but he's not really on the committee anymore because he was too busy. We've got another person, Brooke Maggie, who you'll talk to next week. You'll see next week. She's on the committee now. Oh, that was a good one. I love a good sneeze. Okay.
Bless you.
Thank you. Don't bless me. It's way too late. I'm going the other place. Okay, so pre-health advising committee. What do? We advise you on your career. Any questions you have about schools, it doesn't have to be a medical school. Any health-related career, I'm here to help you on that. Providing you volunteering opportunities. We've got a number of people you can go. The COVID, so it's a crummy semester. Maybe next semester we'll see how things are going then. And really importantly, in your junior year or senior year, when you start to schools, we can write you a letter of recommendation, and it's a committee letter. So it's better than like a single letter from a single professor. It's like a big letter based on a lot of information. So I'll talk about that later in this talk. Okay, what do we advise? Pretty much any health profession. If you see something that's not here, let me know. We'll talk about that too. I'll do a little research and we'll figure it out. Medical, dental, optometry, pharmacy, physician assistant. I've been corrected by Brooke Maggie. Occupational therapy, chiropractor, nurse practitioner, a lot of different things. Okay, so anything healthcare related. Your prerequisites, if you're not a bio major or a biomedical sciences major, your prerequisites for just about all these things are biology, chemistry, organic chemistry, physics, and English, okay? That takes care of just about all your prereqs. So if you're a history major, stay in history and just get these prereqs. Was that a question? All right, somebody needs to mute. I'm hearing somebody here. Okay, other courses, depending on the field you want to go into, some will expect psychology, some sociology, a number of other things. I know PT expects you to have anatomy and physiology before you apply, so these are some of the other things, but your basic prereqs are those 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 classes. Okay. Current programs. So the programs we have, let me skip ahead a little bit. No. So the programs we have, if you're a freshman, you could get into some of these programs, maybe even sophomore. Oh yeah, some schools want medical terminology. That's true. You have to get that online. It's not hard to get online. I think it's a 1-month course or something. It's not so bad. Okay, current programs. SUNY Optometry, we've got a 3+4 program with them. So a 3+4 program means you get all your main requirements for SUNY done in 3 years. And so you leave here, and after your first year at the graduate school, you transfer back 20 credits to finish your degree. So basically you get 100 credits done here in 3 years, and then you leave and you save yourself 1 year of SUNY Plattsburgh tuition. So SUNY Optometry, we've got a program like that. SUNY Buffalo Pharmacy, we've got that. St. George is like the best medical school in the in the Caribbean. There are like 70 some Caribbean schools, and most of them really stink. St. George is a good one. AUA is another good one. American University of Antigua. We've got a 3+4 with them. New York College of Podiatric Medicine. Podiatric medicine is basically the same as an MD, but they only deal with things from like the knee down. Really important in sports medicine, you can imagine, and a lot of other things. So it's really easy to get into these schools, and these people make a lot of money. University of Bridgeport, Doctor of Chiropractic. So there's a chiropractic thing. That program is not, I mean, there's some scholarship money in it for you, but other than that, it's not a big step up. Clarkson, we've got really good programs for, video isn't working? Okay, so video is working fine for me. You can only hear, all right, well, you'll have to deal. If you don't get the video, I'll be posting this video in the Moodle page after we're done. Okay, so Clarkson, we've got 3 programs at Clarkson for physical therapy and occupational therapy. Our school has got 3 seats every year. So if you apply and you meet a minimum standard, you automatically get in. So those are some pretty good programs. The physician assistant program at Clarkson, we get 2 automatic interviews. So you can imagine they have like, I think, 40 or 50 seats every year, and they'll get 800 applications. If you get an interview, that's a really nice foot in the door. So we've got that program with them. We've got the same program with Marywood University in Scranton, Pennsylvania. 2 interview slots. Scranton, Pennsylvania, if you're not familiar, if you're from New York City, it's only like 2.5 hours away. So it's closer than Plattsburgh. And it's a private school. It's a really good school in Scranton. Albany College of Pharmacy, we've got a 3+4 program with them for pharmacy in Albany. They also have a branch campus in Colchester, Vermont, not too far from where I am right now. And that's a 3+3 program because you'll do three years at Plattsburgh and then 3 years there for your pharmacy degree. The differences between Colchester and Albany is up here in Colchester, you're getting a 4-year degree in 3 years. So you don't get your summers off. They keep you going all year long. So it's kind of a compressed degree. But, 6 years, you're a pharmacist instead of 8 if you went the normal way. Okay, and then we've got Albany College of Medicine, physician assistant programs. We've got early decision program, which gives you kind of a leg up on getting admitted through that. Okay. Those are the programs we have on, and you can see these in the Plattsburgh website. I'll put that link up in the Moodle page as well, because it's sometimes hard to find in the Plattsburgh website. Okay, volunteering opportunities, possibly next semester, no doubt next year. So UVM CVPH is like 2 blocks away. We send like 10 students there a semester. We can probably send as many as 20. So we've got plenty of opportunity there. Full service hospital, they've got everything there, and you could, to a certain degree, decide what service you want to be on and work the way you want to work. About 2 blocks away from CVPH is Meadowbrook Healthcare. So Meadowbrook has got 2 sides to it. One is skilled nursing, which is that's your classic nursing home. So old folks who need to be tended to 24/7. And then you've got the other half, which is rehab. And the rehab is like, you're good enough to get out of the hospital, but you're not good enough to go home yet. So you go to rehab and they get you up and going. They give you some physical therapy, some occupational therapy, and get you ready to go home. So if you want to be a PT, Meadowbrook's a great place to go to get your experience hours in. Samuel Vila's home, I don't think anyone's ever gone there. It's really not medical, it's just old folks. If you're into geriatrics, you can go and volunteer and hang out with the old folks. Old people are so much fun. They know so much. It's really awesome. Okay, I Care for the Adirondacks. This is another really good volunteer opportunity. So this is Dr. Dr. Roy. We call him Roy Arrow. Roy Arogasamy. He's a really nice guy. He actually is in charge of the whole I Care for the Adirondacks. Tom W. I emailed them. They never got back. Who emailed you? Who did you email, Tom? Was it CVPH? Yeah, they're not good at emailing back. They're kind of really busy. Yeah, they're not taking anyone this time. No, they're not. And that's because of the COVID thing. They're not taking anybody this semester. We'll see next semester. We can keep our fingers crossed. But let's get back to this I Care for the Adirondacks. Roy is setting up a new program. We're supposed to start this semester, not going to because of the virus, but where you can actually do some testing on patients. So he's got some apparatuses there where you can test their eyes and you can actually do some real stuff and get experience there. And he said if you do a good job, he may hire you on so you can have a part-time job working at I Care for the Adirondacks. It's a bit of a walk. It's a long hike, but on campus, pretty soon, they said, pretty soon, I'm getting confused because I'm looking at chat and I'm thinking about three things at once. They used to have a shuttle on campus. They will probably have that again when things get up and running again. So even if you don't have a car, you can get a shuttle ride down to I Care for the Adirondacks. Okay, so that's I Care, and that's a really good place to go, especially if you're into eye, but anything you're interested in any kind of medical thing, it's a good place to go for volunteering. For veterinary, if you're interested in being a vet, I've sent people to Plattsburgh Animal Hospital in the past, and I've gotten some really negative feedback about them. So I think we're going to take them off the list, but there are several other places in the area, and I will set that up for you if you need it to be set up. So we'll get you some animal experience too. In terms of dental stuff, we've got High Peaks Dental up on Route 3. Again, it would take a shuttle to get you up there. There's also this Dr. Graves who's going to be talking in a few weeks. We can probably finagle some volunteering with her once the whole process once this virus is under control. Okay, internships. This is the way you set up for an internship. Okay, you can't just go to Banner and sign up for it. You have to come to me and talk to me about it. You can do it the semester before or just the first week of classes come. And you come to me, there's some paperwork to fill out. If you do 3 hours a week for 15 weeks, that's 1 credit. So it's kind of like a lab. Labs you do 3 hours a week. At the end of the semester, you will submit to me a journal. So every time you go, you write a few things, and then 1 to 2 page reflection paper after you're done. So again, it's pass-fail. It's going to be really easy. So it's really about getting you experience and trying to make it seem somewhat academic so we can give you credit for it. You can get up to 3 credits this way. So you can do, 3 hours a week or 9 hours a week for 15 weeks. You can do 45 hours in 1 week and then do 45 hours for 3 weeks in a row, get 3 credits. We can do it in the summer. We can do it in the winter. Doesn't matter when you do it or how you do it, as long as you get 45 hours and you get 3 credits. So 135 hours of intern work is equivalent to a Plattsburgh class. And which class would the credits supplement? Okay, so it would be a class by itself. It's 40, I don't know if that's a typo. It wouldn't be, 45, 90, oh yeah, you're right. So that'd be three credits, 135 hours. So it would be on your transcript as Bio 495 internship. Okay, so it's its own class. Okay, and for CVPH, you have to take an orientation before you can take the class. So that's something we have to do ahead of time. Okay, so that's internships. Any semester, anytime. And we're very flexible. As long as you get 45 hours, that's a credit. Okay, other places for shadowing. So places like Eagle's Nest, I've sent people before. They don't want you for 45 hours, but they'll take you for a day, and you can go around there. Champlain Valley is vet services. Humane Society is always going to take volunteers. Now, if you're into if you want to be a veterinarian, a really good place to go is the Minor Center. And you can pull up this PowerPoint, and that Minor Center link there is actually a link. It will take you right to the organization. So the Minor Center is, I'd say, about 20 minutes north in Chazy, and it is an agricultural research institute. They do bovine research, and they do equine research. And if you want to go to veterinary school, it's really imperative you've got some large animal experience. Everybody's got small animal experience. And that's what you would get at Eagles Nest or Champlain Valley. So you want to get involved with the Minor Center if you can. Okay, another question. I currently have a paid internship. Can I use it for that program? Well, the thing about that is the university has to have some paperwork signed between us and that place beforehand in order to get it to count. I think, at least that's what the rule used to be. There's new people in charge. They may be changing the rule. Send me an email and I'll talk and I'll ask around and find out if that's possible. Okay, dentistry, Dr. Schmeigel, she is really nice. She's got a dental office pretty close. She's come and talked to us before, and she's always happy to have people come. High Peaks Dental, I think I talked about that already. And Champlain Smiles, I think, is Athena Graves. So she'll be talking to us in a few weeks, and we can see if we can get you in there as well. Okay, application process. Okay, so the application process for med school. Other schools are not as hard. I mean, like PT, OT, usually the application starts in the fall. For med school, it starts in the spring. And the thing about medical schools is most of them do this thing called rolling admissions, where as soon as your application is complete, they'll look at it and they can start processing you and deciding if they're going to give you an interview. So you want to get your med school application in as early as possible. So the way the med school process works is right at the end of your junior year, if you want to start right after college, right at the end of your junior year, you will come to me and start your pre-health professions advisory committee letter thing. And I'll talk about that in a second. And then you'll also start your AMCAS account, American Medical College Application Service. And this service is basically, all grad schools are like this now. It's like a service you go to, you put your basic information in, and you say what schools you want your information to go to. And then all your information goes out from there. So that's how you apply to medical school.
You take it off.
Question?
He's looking at us.
I'm looking at you. You should mute yourself. Whoever that is, you should probably mute yourself. Okay, so key to get into medical school is the MedCat. For all your other things, it's going to be the GMAT, or not GMAT, I'm sorry, that's marketing or something. It's going to be the GRE. A lot of schools take GRE. Pharmacy's got its own test. What else? Oh, God. Dentistry has its own test, and it's really hard. So every profession has got its own test now. And GRE is not that bad. Most people do fine on the GRE. The MCAT, people don't do well on. The DAT, the dental test, people don't do well on. So if you're going to take one of these tests, you really, really need to prepare for it. And I would seriously suggest, if you can afford it, to take a prep course. You know, all the people, everyone's taking prep courses, and because everybody's taking prep courses, the scores are going higher and higher and higher. So it's competitive. It's really competitive. So your MCAT you want to take before July, hopefully. Most people take it June, mid-July. By August, it's a little bit late. It's not too late. But the way you want to think about it with this rolling admissions, you want to have everything in as soon as possible. So it might even pay to take it after your junior year and just relax, you know, spend the whole summer studying, take your MCAT, and then apply after your senior year. And then you'll end up with a gap year, but there's nothing wrong with that. But anyway, you're taking your MedCat, and where can you get internships if you are interested in nursing or pediatrics? So you can talk to the nursing department about nursing, but pediatrics, you can definitely go to CVPH when they're accepting and ask to be on the pediatric ward. What about pharmacy technician? I think you can just go to a pharmacy and ask to be one, and then they'll hire you and train you. That's not a really hard one to get into. And if you want to be a pharmacist, that's a good way to get experience. You get paid while you're getting experience. But anyway, getting back to applying for med school, after you have your application complete, it goes out to all these schools, and each of those schools sends you back a secondary application. And then if they like you, they'll call you in for an interview. Very competitive, especially in New York State. A school in New York State will have 150 medical school seats. They'll get 5,000 applications. And they're going to take those 5,000 and the first 3,000 they're going to throw out based on your GPA and MedCat. And that's why you have to do well in your MCAT, because if you don't, they're not going to look at your application. So all the other things you do to make yourself look good, all the volunteering, all the hours in service and all this stuff, they won't even know about it if you don't get an MCAT score high enough that they're going to look at your application. It's crucial to get a good MCAT score. Okay, so that's med school application. We can talk more about this. You can ask me more about it. Oh, and on the website, the Plattsburgh State website, the link I'm going to put into Moodle, I've got explanations of all these things there. So if you miss anything, the information should be there. Okay, how do you get a letter of recommendation from the Pre-Health Professions Advisory Committee? Begin early, start now. If you're a freshman, if you're a sophomore, it doesn't matter, start. And the way you get it is you start sending me material, and then I put it into a folder, and I hold that folder until you're ready. Now, because of COVID, I've been doing it all online and electronic, and that's really the best way to do it. So when I say send me material, what I mean is, say you're a freshman and you're volunteering in a doctor's office, and the doctor really thinks you're doing a good job. Well, ask as you're leaving, say, Dr. So-and-so, can you write me a letter of recommendation? And if you've done a good job, they'll be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll write you a letter. Have them send it to me, okay? Email it to me especially. Send it to me, I'll put it in a folder for you, and then 3 years later when you're applying for medical school, you got that letter of recommendation. The problem is if you wait till, you do this in your freshman year and senior year you ask for the letter, Dr. So-and-so is going to be like, what do I remember about this person? She was a good person. She was a good person. You don't get a good letter, So strike while the iron's hot. Right after you've volunteered with someone, if you've impressed them, get a letter of recommendation, send it to me, I'll put it in your file. When you get closer to needing that letter from me, from the committee, then send me a resume or curriculum vitae. Resume is 1 page, CV is longer. So would a certain amount of hours in service. Do you need a certain number of hours to go to med school? No, you don't. Excuse me. For PA, they have specifically, you need 500 hours, you need 2,000 hours, depends on the school. For med school, there's no rule. You need to have something other than going to school and getting good grades. So you've got your schoolwork, and then you've got to have something else. And that something else, you have to do well at it and excel at it, but it's nothing specific. So you could be an athlete and you do a really good job as a soccer player, okay? You could be a musician and you do a really good job there. You go and you do concerts and blah, blah, blah. You could write a novel. Oh, look at this. Not only am I a doctor, but I'm intelligent too. So, you need something other than just going to school and getting good grades and partying at night. You need a lot of things going on. But it doesn't have to be a specific thing like hours in service. Could be volunteering. Volunteering's great. Leadership, okay? Get yourself into like the judicial system at Plattsburgh State and become, whatever they need in that thing. So don't just be a member of the club, be the president of the club and organize things, be the leader. That's what they want to see. So would a certificate in personal training from NASM count viable for material? Yeah, sure. Anything you've got, put in your file, and then we'll mention it in your letter in the end. Okay, you can put anything in this file, and we'll look at it when we're writing your letter. Okay, so you've got resume, CV. Resume is 1 page, condensed. CV is as many pages as you want. Personal statement. Why do you want to go to physical therapy school? Why is this important to you? When did you first start thinking about it? Were there events in your life that led you this way? What is it exactly you want to do it? They want to make sure that you're mature. I wanted to be a doctor since I was a little boy. Well, hello. A lot of people do, and they're not doctors today. So they want to see a nice, mature personal statement. So one thing you can do for writing your personal statement is go online and say, example, good personal statement, medical school. And there'll be 100 websites out there that'll give you help on that. And then when you've written your statement, it has to be about you. Don't copy somebody else's and send it. It has to be about you. Send it to me. I will edit it for you and send it back. We'll do some what do you call on that? Okay, official transcript. So when you're ready for your letter, go call the registrar, have them send me your official transcripts. I'll put them in your file. Test scores, if you've got an MCAT, I'd like to see it. If you got a GRE, I'd like to see it. If you don't have it, it's not a big deal. Most people don't when we write the letter. And then you've got some forms online that I'll point out later that you need to sign. No big deal. But here's the key. This is really important. Have the year you're applying, have the whole package ready by May 15th, okay? May 15th is pretty much the end of the spring semester. The week after the end of the spring semester, the whole committee gets together, we look at all the files, we make decisions, and we write our letters. Now, if you ask for your letter in August, we can do it, but it's not gonna come out fast, okay? Like, we will get all these letters done by mid-June, okay? And now you start asking me for a letter in July and August, it may take September before it gets done. So everything's rolling in missions. You want to get your stuff in there as quick as possible. So get me your application ready by May 15th. Okay, what's a good application? You should have a GPA above 3.5. Your MCAT should be above 510. I'll talk about MCAT in a minute. Each of your score above 125. Extracurriculars, you'd have, like I was just talking about extracurriculars. Whatever it is you do, excel at it and impress people. Research, a lot of people say, do I have to do research to go to med school? No, that's the worst attitude. It's like, no one wants you in their lab if you're just doing research so you can check that box off to go to med school. If you want to do research, get in someone's lab and do some good research, work there for a year or two, perhaps get a publication. I mean, that's what looks really good. Excel in research. Don't just do it so you can say you did it. And then letters of recommendation I've talked about. When you're living your life from now on, think excellence, leadership, compassion, right? That's what they're looking for. They want to see you're excellent in everything you do, you show leadership, and you're compassionate towards your fellow man. Okay, how will my office hours work? Yeah, I'm not going to be in the office at all. So send me an email. I'll send you a Zoom link. Fridays are best for me to do Zooms, but we'll work it out however we have to. So all my office hours will be via Zoom. Okay, MCAT. So if you want to go to med school, you got to take the MCAT, and the MCAT is 4 scores. One is chemical and physical, so that's physics and Chem 111, 112. Critical analysis and reasoning skills, CARS. This is the one that kills a lot of people. It's like basically philosophy and logic and reason and stuff like that. It's something you really need to practice before you take the test, because as a biology major, you don't get a lot of practice at that. And it's a lot of critical thinking stuff, so you really need practice there. BBFL, which is biology and biochemistry. As a biomedical major, you should do well in that. And then psychology, sociology, you should take those classes. I think you have to take one with your major, but you should take them both, psychology and sociology, because they will be on the MCAT. And it is grueling. It's 7.5 or 8 straight hours of work, and you get like maybe 10-minute breaks between tests, and you have snacks, you eat your snacks, and you get back to work. So it's a really hard test. So we've not done well on the MCAT at Plattsburgh State. Here's a good score. I've blocked out the name. I don't remember who this is, but the overall percentile ranking was 77. Didn't do that great on the chemical and physical, but did well on CARS, did well on biological, did well on psych and soc. This person got into medical school at SUNY Upstate. Come on, baby. Oh, my computer's glitching out on me now. This is more typical of what we see at Plattsburgh State, okay? 30. I've seen people as low as like 4 percentile, which means 96% of people did better than you. So typically, a lot of our people will be in the 30 to 50 range, and they're just not going to med school. here is, and an individual scores specific, especially low in the cars, and cars is important to med schools. So this person didn't get into med school, at least not on the first try. I mean, you can keep trying. Okay, here's a real heartbreaker. I knew this kid and he was awesome. I think his GPA was something like 3.96 or something. He breezed through college and he just assumed he was going to medical school. He took the MCAT. He did awesome on the MedCat, did great on 3 of the 4 areas. He got a 36 in the cars, and he didn't get a single interview. So you need to be strong in every single area. This was a really sad one. Okay, so here's typically how Plattsburgh State does. This is the national average. This is the average of people who got accepted. This is Plattsburgh State. So you really need to practice this. I think a lot of people go into this not realizing how hard a test is, and they get creamed. So you need a lot of prep before you take this test. And this is the 4 scores, they all come out about the same. Okay, how do you do well in the cars? One thing you can do is get into the honors program. Honors classes are a little more difficult than your biology classes probably, or harder in different ways. And you will get a lot more practice in critical thinking, and that's going to help you on the cars. If you're a freshman coming in, if you had a high school average of 91, you can go right into the honors program, SAT score of 1200. If you didn't do that well, if your high school scores aren't that good, if you do well in your freshman year and you've got a GPA of 3.5, you can go into the honors program. So you have to show some promise before they accept you in the program. But they do a really good job of prepping you because there's a lot of writing involved, and a lot of critical thinking. So that will help you on your MCAT. I've heard it said that English majors do better on the MCAT than science majors, because science majors are all memorize, 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 spit it out, spit it out, spit it out. And the MCAT is not about how much you know. It's about critical thinking, being fast and being right. And, that's the MCAT. Caribbean schools, if you don't do well in the MCAT, it doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to be a doctor. Caribbean schools will take you with lower MCAT scores. Not with like no MCAT, like if you've got a 4 percentile in MCAT, you're not going to go into one of these schools either. But the 4 that we recommend are St. George, which is the best. It's huge though, you can get lost on that campus. AUA is a smaller campus, also a good school. AUC, American University of Caribbean, which I've never been to, but I've heard it's a good school. And Ross, which is one we've sent several students to. The reason I say these 4 are good is you only spend 18 months on the island. You do all your book learning on the island. Once you have passed all your classes, then you do all the clinical experience in the United States. So med school in general, your first 2 years are classes, and then your second 2 years are clinical. So you're going from one clinical opportunity to another. So with Caribbean schools, they accelerated a little bit. You're only 18 months doing your academic portion, and then the whole rest of your medical career is usually in New York City, also in Florida, California. They've got a lot of different sites, but most people end up in New York City. And that's really important. These other Caribbean schools, you'll stay on the island for your clinicals. You'll never come back to the United States because it's just not that good. You do your clinicals in the United States, you're going to get letters of recommendation from U.S. doctors, and you'll get your residency. So places like Ross and AUA have really good residency placement rates. So residency is basically after you finish 4 years of medical school, or when you're almost done with 4 years of medical school, you apply to different schools for different specialties, whichever you want to go into, and they decide if they're going to take you or not. U.S. schools get first choice of residencies. If you have a U.S. MD, you will be at the top of the list. U.S. DO schools are next. DO schools are much easier to get into than med schools, and go into the same damn residency program, become the same doctor. And then the next on the list are the Caribbean schools. So you're a little bit behind the 8 ball of Caribbean schools for that. So if you wanted to be in a really competitive get into a competitive residency, something like, orthopedic surgeon. A lot of people want to do that, so it's very competitive. Then it's kind of hard to go from a Caribbean school into that. If you just want to be your regular old doctor, just your primary physician, there's no reason to have to go to a competitive medical school. You can go to the Caribbean and become a regular doctor. And there are a lot of specialties that aren't that competitive, and so you could go to the Caribbean school and be just as well off. Nice thing about these Caribbean schools too, someone asked what are DOs. We'll have a DO coming in a couple of weeks and we'll explain that then, but it's really important for you to understand that. But we'll get to it in a couple of weeks. So intensive preparations for the USMLE step 1, 2, and 3. So after you finish your second year of medical school, you take the US Medical Licensing Exam step 1, and these 4 Caribbean schools are really good at prepping you for that. US schools are good at prepping you for it too, but some of the other Caribbean schools don't even prep you for it, so you're all on your own. And then after your first year of clinicals, you do a USMLE 2, and after your last year of medical school, you do the third licensing exam. And if you pass all those, you get your MD. So my dog is knocking my computer. Lay down, lay down. Look at this beast. Is this a dog or is this a horse? Look at this guy. Say hello, Gus. Say hello. Okay, so 2 clinical rotation years I talked about already. Enter the match, I already talked about that. Oh, it should be D capital O, not small o. And then once you go into residency, nobody knows or cares when you went to medical school. Ashley, you're welcome. Today's National Dog Day, by the way. Okay, St. George, AUA, AUC, and Ross. These are the ones we suggest. And with St. George and AUA, we've got these 3+4 programs. If you are a U.S. resident and you're a strong student, I would suggest you hold out and apply to U.S. med schools. If you're an international student, it's really hard. Ross moved to Barbados. I didn't know that. I'll have to look into that. Okay, so if you're, what was I saying? It was really important. If you're an international student, it's hard to get into U.S. med schools because so many of them are state schools, and so they don't accept international students because they're getting state money into the medical school, so they don't accept international. So if you're an international student, your choices are limited a little bit. And one way to kind of make up for that is go ahead into our 3+4 program in SGU. You'll save yourself 1 year of tuition at Plattsburgh State. That must be like $2 or $3 grand, isn't it? I don't know what tuition is these days, but it must be at least $2,000. Okay, so that's Caribbean. So here's our 3+4 program. I've talked about it already. You apply after your sophomore year. After your third year, you would go to that medical school or pharmacy school. We got pharmacy programs. And then after that first year in that school, those credits transfer back and you get your bachelor's degree from SUNY Plattsburgh. You go on and finish there. So you're saving at least $2,000. Okay, other career options besides MD, physician's assistant. Physician's assistants, you probably have been treated by more of those than MDs. They do pretty much the same thing as an MD. The only difference is they're always being supervised by an MD. And it's a really great way to get into medicine because it's only 2 years. It's not 4 years plus 4 years of residency. It's 2 years. And once you become a physician's assistant, you can go into any specialty you want. It's not like in med school, after you've gone through 4 years of med school, 4 years of training, now you're an osteopath, or not, now you're an eye doctor. Well, you can't just say, you know what, I'd rather be a nose doctor. It's too late. You're gonna have to do 4 more years of training. With physician's assistant, you can just switch to another one if you want. Ooh, PZ Walcott. We should talk about that. That sounds interesting. Okay. What else was I saying? Okay, so it's a GRE. It's not MCAT. The one big difference with physician's assistant is you need experience in healthcare. Between 200, that's probably 500 is more reasonable, between 500 and 2,000 hours of healthcare experience, depending on what school you're applying to. Each one has their own required number. And what does that mean? In addition to the number of hours, the quality of hours. So you could become a phlebotomist and get 500 hours of phlebotomy. That's like, sticking needles in people. They're not great hours. They're good hours. It's healthcare, direct healthcare experience, but they're not the best hours. Some of the best hours are things like being an EMT, help emergency medical technician, or one of my personal favorites is the certified nurse assistant, CNA. CNA is basically the lowest level of nursing. It's about a 1-month course of training, and then you're making like $15 an hour being a nurse, and you're getting really good patient care hours. I knew someone too several people who were medical transcriptionists or something, like the doctor does his, we're over time already. The doctor does his talk, and then you take that and you transcribe it into English from Dr. Gibberish. Okay, so I'm gonna go through this kind of fast because we're a good place you can take CNA. Meadowbrook has got a CNA option, but also don't forget you can always do a Google search and find more CNA programs. You recommend taking a gap year after a bachelor's degree to free up student debt before going to PT school. That's a decision to make. There are pluses to it for sure. It'll take, it'll cost you a couple more years, but you're young. What the hell's the difference? Clinton has CNA courses too. Okay, good. All right, so let me just kind of get through this. So physician's assistant is another option. Oh, look at this thing screwing up on me again. Come on. Okay. And we've got programs with Clarkson, Marywood. It's not pending anymore, it's signed, and Albany College. Accelerated nursing, a lot of people doing this now. So accelerated nursing is you graduate in biology, say, and then in 2 years you've got your BS in nursing, and another year you can be an NP, So a lot of people are doing this now because, let's face it, you can't get into the nursing program at Plattsburgh State. It's too competitive, and once you're here, you cannot transfer into it. So another option is, and a lot of times people don't know what they want to do until they're in their junior, senior year, and they find out, oh, I can be a nurse in 2 years. Bingo, accelerated nursing. Nurse practitioner, 1 more year after accelerated nursing, you're a nurse practitioner. And a nurse practitioner is very similar to a PA. Big difference is they can prescribe drugs, whereas the PA's got to get their doctor to prescribe. Physical therapy, okay? Getting a person physically back in shape after an injury. This is a 3-year program, and we've got degree programs with Clarkson. Yeah, just Clarkson. Occupational therapy. This is not the same as physical therapy. It's basically getting people used to their new life and how they can adapt to living with their injury. So somebody loses an arm, their good arm, their right arm. You have to teach them how to do everything with their left arm. How do you get the car door open? How do you shift and everything with only one arm? So occupational therapy are basically getting people back into functioning after they've had some traumatic injury. And we've got one with Clarkson there. Pharmacy, you probably know what the pharmacist is. You've got your pharmacist behind the counter, but there are many, many other things you can do as a pharmacist. And hopefully we'll have a pharmacist in to talk to you about that. And we got programs with Albany College of Pharmacy, Albany College of Pharmacy in Colchester, and Buffalo. These are all accelerated programs, saving yourself a year of tuition. So here's the good news. This is how we've been doing. This is how Plattsburgh State's been doing over the last couple of years. So I showed you all that negative stuff about MCAT scores. This is like basically all professions, everything from MD through accelerated nursing, everything. And we have really been doing well lately. I don't know, we may be plateauing now around here, but I'm hoping not. I hope we get more and more you people into these schools and into really good jobs, because there's no better job than healthcare. You're always needed, and the pay is good. Healthcare is a great way to have a career. And here's another thing about this graph that I really, really want to impress upon you. I want to put this in your brain so you remember it. When you get into one of these schools, tell me, and then your adding to that point. So many people get into schools, they never tell me. 5 years later, I find out that they went to physical therapy school. Why didn't you goddamn tell me? So let me know when you get into these schools. I will help you get into them if I can. If you do go on your own, go on your own. That's fine. I won't hold it against you. But let me know. So it bucks up the troops. It lets everyone know that we're doing good things at Plattsburgh State and you can get into those programs from here. And that might be it. I don't know, my thing ain't working now. Okay, international students, you can look at that later if you're an international student. And I'll talk to you more about it too. Okay, stopping share. Anybody have any questions now? I know we're over time already. I will be posting this in your Moodle page as soon as I have it processed. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Anybody want to see my dog again? He's a beast. 115 pounds of golden retriever. He's 2 dogs. He's not 1 dog, he's 2 dogs. Okay, well, I'm going to let you go. And have any questions, email me. Best way to get me is emailing me. I believe my cell phone number is on the syllabus. If not, I'll give it to you. I'd rather you email me, though. All right, good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye, doggy.